What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down a great wide receiver football IQ quiz to test your knowledge of the position. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and would like an 8-week wide receiver daily training schedule that you can do, check out that very first link in the description below where you can get an 8-week daily gym and on-field workout plan. It's over 500 plus wide receiver drills, gym exercises where we break down examples of each drill, the exact sets and reps to do on each day. Everything is mapped out for you, fellas. So again, check out that very first link in the description below if you're interested. Let's get started with this video. So if you're not familiar with our quiz style videos, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a pre-snap look. I'm going to ask you a series of questions about the look, give you a chance to pause the video, think about your answer, and then we'll break down your answer. Okay, so now first question: how would you guys run a slant route versus this inside shade man-to-man coverage where the DB is about 2 yards off? So how would you guys run a slant route versus this specific look? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answers. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So when it comes down to choosing a press release off the line of scrimmage, again, it comes down to two specific things. And this is part of the reason why we started making these football IQ quizzes for wide receivers, is because we want them to know what to do. We want them to come up to the line of scrimmage and have a plan. But how you execute your plan is by looking for two things. Number one, leverage of the DB. So what's his leverage in this case? He's inside leverage, right? Wide receivers lined up outside the hash. DB is lined up on the hash, shaded a little bit to the inside. That means he has inside leverage. His goal: stop the slant, stop the dig, stop the post, force everything to the outside where he has help, and that help would be the sideline. Wants us to run out of bounds or hug the sideline where that quarterback doesn't have any room. Second thing that helps you come up with your press release plan is the distance this DB has from us. So as we know, he's about 2 yards away. He's inside leverage, 2 yards away. No matter how close or how far, his leverage responsibility will always stay the same, depending on where he's shaded, right? So if he's inside shade right up on the line, 2 yards off, 10 yards off, his responsibility will always be the same: prevent the inside route when he's inside leverage. So now, if you guys said that you would want to attack his outside shoulder and outside hip for 3 steps on a diamond release, that would be partially correct. If you said that's the only thing that you're doing, that would be incorrect. What you would want to do first is you would want to close the distance with this DB and close down bring that line of scrimmage essentially to him. If you can bring that line of scrimmage to him, then we attack the outside shoulder for 3 steps. That's what's going to get him to flip and allow us to slip underneath. If you guys said, oh, you're going to stem him to the inside and attack and then cut in front of him, that's not going to happen, because if you start to attack him inside, DB will shade to the inside, you'll just run right into him. But we want to close the distance, then attack his outside shoulder. If that's what you guys said, that is correct. Now, this receiver does it, but it does not work, and we're going to talk about why. So let's play this thing full speed. So he goes off the ball, and again, he tries to close the distance. He tries to do that diamond release, but it doesn't work too well for him. First things first is he didn't close the distance enough, right? So he attacks him, but he attacks him for maybe about half a step. There's still 2 yards of space. So guys, if we attack his outside shoulder on this angle, there's too big of a gap between me and the DB. I almost want to step on his toes and then go to the outside, because if we get his hips to flip, I want him right next to me. So I could use that inside hand to swat him by on the back of his shoulder and cut under him. But if we do this and we don't close enough space and then we attack the outside, again, there's too much of a gap. Even if we got this DB to open up his hips, he'd still be able to flip and make a play on this thing. Now, not to mention the other thing with this release is that diamond release was a little too choppy. Because remember, when we do that diamond release, what are we trying to make the DB think we're running? We want him to think we're running a fade, right? We want to think we're running just a 9 route, back corner of the end zone fade, so he flips out of there. If we do this and we take choppy steps, you see how he took 3 steps, but they were very choppy. He jabbed inside, and then he went 1, 2, 3. And only really went about 1.5 yards. Guys, we should be about here where I'm drawing this circle on the diamond release if we want that DB to flip. Choppy steps will get him to just hold his leverage. Not closing the distance will make it very hard for us to get separation. So if you guys said attack him, then diamond release, you would be 100% correct. However, we need to make sure that we have the right technique on this. Let's play this again full speed one more time. Right idea by this receiver, but we just got to make sure we have the technique. Because remember, playing the receiver position, a lot of it's about technique. And a lot of it is also about knowing when to use the specific release. So in that case, he knew what to do. He knew the exact release to use that would work perfect. We also got to have the technique to combo with it, okay? So now, next example here. How would you run? So I'm going to talk to you about what happens post-snap on this, just so you guys have an idea. If you come off the ball and this DB jumps to the outside, so he jumps to outside leverage. So he's trying to take away the outside. I'll give you guys that right off the bat. He jumps to the outside leverage, and you have to run a corner route. So a deep 12-yard corner. As soon as the ball is snapped, he jumps to the outside. How would you guys run a corner route versus outside shade press coverage? So you guys go ahead and pause the video and think about your answers. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So if we got a DB who jumps to the outside like so, like where he just keeps his leverage to the outside, he's taught not to give up what? Don't give up the outside, right? Force everything to the inside where he probably has some kind of safety help, right? So if he has help to the inside, he wants to run to the help. If he's inside shade, he doesn't have help inside. He has help to the sideline, and he wants us to run to the sideline, right? That's what we have to keep in mind. Always be aware of where the DB's help is. So when he's outside shade, we know if I have to run an outside breaking route, I can't force the outside release. If I try to run around him, he's going to keep his leverage, he's going to get hands, and he will force me all the way to the sideline. I'm not doing anybody good over there, If I got to run an out route, a corner, even a fade, that's not enough space for the quarterback. You guys have to run quarterback-friendly routes. So we should attack him, and we should take the inside release, and that's what this receiver does, and he does a great job of it, but the only problem is that he didn't do something called getting skinny to get separation. Was the ball a little late? Yes. Could he have gotten more separation? I definitely think so, and that's what I would like to talk about here. So when he took this inside release, right there, he should be getting hip to hip with the DB so he could do something called stack, or at least run with him right next to us, right? Because at the top of the break of this corner, like our goal is to have this DB to where he is running directly behind me. He is trailing my back hip. So maybe I could give a hard fake to the inside. I could sell a move to the inside. I could maybe peek back like I'm running a fade, then break to the outside, just something that's going to get me separation. But if I can't do that, maybe the DB's faster than me. Maybe he plays it well. If he's right on my hip, what could you do with your left arm? You could put it on the back of his left shoulder, back of his left hip, and slip under him. Call that a throw-by move, especially if you're running like an out route. But because he didn't get skinny, which is run tight to the DB, we don't have the option for either of those things. So he comes off the ball, again, gives a move, gives a great fake to the outside, inside release, but we got to stay tight, you guys. We have to get vertical, especially when we were running a vertical route. So that's why this thing didn't work. Right idea, but you have to make sure, again, we can know what to do all day long, but we have to make sure the technique is also there with the IQ side of things. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by this receiver taking the right release, but we got to make sure that we have the technique to get open. All right, so next example here that I want to talk about. How would you guys run? We have this like inside shade look again. How would you guys run a 5-yard out? So a 5-yard out route versus this type of press coverage look. So how would you guys run a 5-yard out versus this look? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answers. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So when we have a DB who's lined up, again, inside shade, but we have a route that is away from him, right? So we have an out route, which is away from the leverage that he is trying to protect. Remember, an out route or to the sideline is exactly where he wants me to go, right? So if you said that, oh, well, because he's inside shade, I'm just going to go take the outside for 5 and then break it off, that would be wrong. If you guys said that you were going to attack his leverage to the inside, try to get him to move, and then take the outside release and get skinny, then break, that would be correct. Now, when you take that outside release, a couple things you want to think about. So I'm going to play this full speed. This route doesn't end up working either because this DB or this receiver makes a mistake in the beginning of the route, but if you were to take this outside release, you would want to get skinny as possible, right? Now, if he was running like a dig route, we'd want to get skinny, which is essentially running hip to hip with him, just like the corner route versus outside shade. It's just flipped. If we were running a dig, you would want to get tight to him, so at the break point, we could slip under and throw by, or we could stack him. Same idea with the outside release. Just because it's man, but the route is opposite of where we're trying to go, that doesn't change up what we were trying to do on the route. We still want to stack, and we still want to get over the top. So I can maybe give a move, or if he is hip to hip with me running right next to me, I could lean into him. Use your body to lean into this DB, and then we break this thing off. But again, this receiver makes a mistake off the line specifically. He does not sell the release enough with his upper body. Right idea, but again, we still need the technique. So let's talk about the technique of this. So a DB in press coverage is supposed to be watching what? He's supposed to be watching our hips, right? So if he's watching our hips and we don't sell the inside move with my hips, with my shoulders, with my body language, that's not going to get us any separation. So he comes off the ball, he gives a little foot fire, and he gives this jab. But you see when he jabs, he steps far enough, but his hips and his shoulders are all committed to the out route. That's not enough to get this DB to bite. Again, guys, we need the technique and we need the IQ. We need a combination of both as a wide receiver. So when we go to the inside, we got to sell. Hips and shoulders have to commit because all we need is him to just hesitate. We can't have him read us like a book, get hands on us, be able to disrupt timing on the route, and then ultimately make a play on this thing. So that's on the receiver's release. Right idea, right IQ, but we got to make sure that we have the technique. Because a lot of you guys probably, when we do these receiver IQ stuff, you guys probably get them all right. Probably get all the answers to the questions right because I trust that you, I know for a fact that you guys are smart wide receivers and you know what you're doing because you watch these videos, right? But again, you guys got to understand how important it is to also have the technique. That's why working technique, working in the offseason, doing certain things in the offseason is so important so you can combo the two together. Watching film is one of the best tools that you can have, but you actually have to apply that thing on the field. All right, fellas, really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like an 8-week wide receiver gym and on-field workout schedule, everything wide receivers should be doing in the gym and on the field to improve their skills, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that. I'll see you guys next time.